share it with the owner, and
Great. Yeah.
that'd be great.
Can you see my screen okay? Is anything being cut off? Is the top of it being cut off by any chance? Is that
It
what's...
is. The
It
top
seems
is.
to be running high.
Okay, let me see. Let me try
Yeah,
again.
that's better.
A little better.
There.
That
there.
works.
That should be better. Okay,
Perfect.
great. Well, welcome, Teresa. So glad you could join us. How many
you.
employees do you guys have?
Well, we've been in a hiring stage. I'm going to guesstimate right now. I'm going to put a ballpark about 15 to 20, somewhere in there.
Okay, that's great. And where did you said you're new to the business. Have you lived there or do you move recently to Paris?
No, I do. I live just north of Minerva,
Okay.
and I had worked for Dix Communications for many years and had been up with a startup in Aurora for a period. And due to reconstruction with the Gatehouse Media buyout, I found myself looking. And I had helped Bill a few years ago, and we sat down, and he's been wanting to bring me on board, and so I'm pretty excited.
Great.
I love growing business.
Excellent. So you guys focus on like events and construction, that kind of a thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And with the graduation season now over, we did actually units for graduation parties, outdoor weddings, things like that.
Okay, good. Very cool. Hey, Denise, how are you? Can you hear us? I know I see Denise is on. Hopefully she'll be able
Yeah, I don't see her on mine, but
She's on mine now, Rishu.
Yeah.
oh, there she is. Wow, I see her name.
Okay, all right. So it's 12, and we said we're going to start sharply at 12. It's being just so everyone knows, we are recording this event. So let's begin. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Rishu Mahalaha. I am the economic advisor that helped put together the Strengthening Stark economic plan. And now we are in the midst of trying to roll out the many programs, initiatives that had been conceptualized for the last many months. So our game plan for today is to share with you, this is our first virtual business speaker series event. It's going to be happening on a monthly basis on the second Friday of every month from noon to 1. And so couple of quick points about today. Our goal today is to share with you the Strengthening Stark program, how it came to be, what does it mean for small and mid-sized business owners. Hopefully there's some value that you see through the program for your own respective businesses. That's one. So we'll talk about the history, then we'll get into the details of hopefully how your business can benefit. And then we'll talk a little bit about next steps on how you can potentially get involved. Hopefully many of you find specific areas where you want to engage with us in some capacity. And if I can just sort of cue up one very important request, which is we'd like you to take a very, very short survey. I know how much people love surveys. So it is 4 questions. I guarantee you it's not going to take you more than 2 to 3 minutes to fill out. But it is absolutely crucial in helping us understand what the value is that you're seeing or not seeing from this, and how can we make it better. We also will ask you for potential topics that are of interest to you. This event, the series, is supposed to be our residents, our business owners, our employees of Stark County. So it's for Stark County residents by Stark County people, and also inviting folks from the outside. So hopefully it's very customized to your local needs. So having said that, let me jump right in. Let me start by giving you a real quick background on what Strengthening Stark is trying to do. Our overall goal is to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mute all of you. And if you need to ask a question, please please feel free to, one second, there's a way to do this. Okay. Okay, so I've muted all of you, and feel free, you should be able to unmute yourselves if needed. And I've just muted it so that for our recording, we won't get a lot of background noise. So the overall goal is to help create an environment that's conducive for business sustainability and business growth. And the broader picture is to help create a community that allows for prosperity for all our citizens of Stark County. So that's what we're trying to do. It's a big, bold objective. We hope to be successful in it, and there's a lot of moving pieces underneath it that I'll be spending some time talking you through. So let's talk a little bit about, one second, the past, where we're coming from. So in summer of 2015, a group of civic leaders from Stark County came together because they wanted to, they were sort of experiencing some of the economic challenges of the community, and they wanted to do something about it. So they launched a series of conversations. It included business leaders, philanthropic leaders, elected officials, meeting, trying to think about what they could do. As a result of those conversations, a report was generated that was published in summer of last year. That was called the Strengthening Stark Report, and it basically said three basic things: that the community, the Stark County, is getting older. Our population is getting older. Our population is getting smaller. Our population is shrinking, and that we are getting poorer. We're seeing greater poverty, more wage disparity. And frankly, if we stay on this trend, we are not going to be sustainable. So that was a high-level conclusion. It's really a strategic thinking on what our challenges are. And so with that as a catalyst, we launched in fall of last year a planning process to look at that problem, say, what can we do What can we do about this? Is there something we can do about this? So that's what the work was that was launched last year, and the report was published just last month. For those of you who are interested in either one of those reports, hopefully you can provide us your email addresses. We'll be happy to send you links to it, and I'll be sharing our contact information. And you can also, if you just Google Strengthening Stark, I think the first link that comes up will take you to the community, the Stark County Community Foundation site where the report is. And it's sort of an interesting read, especially for small business owners as you're thinking about what the challenges and opportunities are. There may be something there. Let me share with you just a handful of data points, 3 or 4, just to really contextualize what we're talking about. This right here is showing you our public school enrollment numbers from K through 12. So you can sort of see this slight decline in numbers so on the right side of your screen are their seniors, on the left side are your kindergartners. And you can see we drop our enrollments anywhere from sort of 4,500-ish that are in our junior, sophomore class to 3,800-ish that are sitting in our kindergartner, first grade, second grade class. So we're losing about 500 to 600 kids just in our school enrollments. So when we say we're getting smaller, here's a very, very definitive data point. We are going to be graduating fewer people, fewer students. That means fewer classes, fewer teachers, shrinking of school districts, potentially, right? These are all the trends that are in our future. Another area that we talked a lot about, can you see my entire screen? I just want to make sure you're not being blocked by the windows, the screens. Can you just nod and make sure that you can see the entire screen? Teresa, nod, yes, you can see all of it? Yes, okay, good. So what you're seeing here, just look at the unemployment claim numbers in the last 5 years. So while we do have increased poverty, we do have increased wage gaps, we have more people that are leaving the workforce, that's actually some of the reasons why we're seeing these numbers shrink. But if you're a small business owner, again, I was speaking to Teresa right before the call started, and she was mentioning that they're looking to hire some folks. This is a very real challenges that our businesses will face in the community because we're shrinking, fewer people looking for work. So this is going to be a very material challenge for our businesses. I also want to share with you real quick a snapshot. What does the business profile look like in our community? So if we just look at this picture, we wanted to just get a sense for how many businesses fall into what category. So if you look at our major anchor businesses, businesses making more than $50 million a year, you have roughly 82 businesses that fall into that category. About 500 that fall into the category where they're making between $7 and $50 million in annual sales. And then this is really small, mid-sized businesses that have annual revenues of less than 7 million. We can actually dissect that data further. But what's interesting to see is from a revenue perspective, those clusters have roughly similar revenues. Employment, huge. The small organizations are a huge employer in our community. One point to note is this data comes to us from Reference USA. There's no perfect data source on data like this, but this hopefully gives us a directional sense of what's going on. So this is important because the reason I wanted to share this is as we think about supporting our businesses, the reality is we can't have a one sort of solution that fits all our business needs. We're going to have to think about different ways in which we're helping our businesses. We'll talk more about that, but please keep this data in mind. We will be referring to it later as well. You can also look and see where are our people working? Where's our employment clusters? Lot of manufacturing, healthcare, social services, retail, education. Again, you can't draw dramatic conclusions based on this, but it's helpful to know where our people are working. And especially as you're looking at your own business, understanding where I fit into the picture, what kind of people are in my industry. If I wanted to look for other people with skills, what does that pool of candidates looks like? Hopefully this is some guidance on that front. The last piece is, this is by no means a comprehensive list. There's many, many, many organizations. The point we were trying to highlight is there are, you know what, my apology, I want to go on record saying this. We grabbed the wrong picture. Mount Altman should also be on this slide. And I actually wanted to highlight that specific story, that we have a lot of great universities and colleges in or near Stark County. And that is a massive asset that we have that most other communities don't. So if you look at that, if you look at your social service providers, philanthropy, there's a lot of things there. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many, many more organizations. The question is, knowing the very strong headwinds that we're going to face, what can we be doing with our partners like these to fundamentally try to shift the direction of where we're headed? A little bit of history. This is the conversation that we've been having. So let's talk about what's going on right now. We looked at the data. We had many, many conversations. At this point, we've talked to over 200 groups and leaders of organizations, nonprofits, philanthropic leaders, business leaders, minority leaders, college leadership, K through 12 leadership, to understand what those challenges, opportunities are. We have reached some conclusions, and we're starting to now launch the doing part of the program. So let me just share with you how we've contextualized the work. The work really falls into 7 major categories. This is, when we think about economic workforce development, it's a complicated conversation. So we wanted to make sure we're sort of thinking about our efforts in the right manner. So there's 7 categories. Number 1 is governance. How do we manage the work? There's so many partners involved. How do we make sure that we're all working in some sort of collaborative, synchronized way? And the goal here is to find ways, even if we can find the 2 to 5 to 7% where we can be more impactful because we're working together. That's the goal. It's not to find, we don't need all of us to be singing, holding hands and singing together. We just need to find the little thing we can collaborate on. That's governance. Second is strengthening our talent supply chain. How do we make our people picture stronger? We know that's a massive issue. Economic development in a nutshell is really about people. Each individual, each citizen, each student, each senior citizen, each business owner is a mini, think of them as mini batteries. how can we link them up so that connected, we are driving much more sort of electrical juice to the economics of Stark County. Third is, how do we help retain and grow local businesses? This is where all of you fit in. We want to make sure, before we do anything else, we want to make sure that we are being helpful in supporting your businesses. Fourth is, how do we help attract strategically important businesses to our community? This is the attraction piece. Fifth is, how do we catalyze entrepreneurship, innovation? Sixth is infrastructure. What do we need to do to make sure that we have the right infrastructure to support our local businesses, local institutions, local workforce? And the last is, how do we help drive stronger community engagement? So we can do all the great work, but if we're not being methodical in reaching out to local partners and engaging with local partners, this process will never work. So those are the 7 categories, and I'll share a little bit more detail around how you, business leaders, individuals that represent businesses, can hopefully find value in the process as well. Underneath these 7 buckets, there's 37 initiatives that have been conceived. Many of these initiatives have already been launched, and we're actually already working on many of these pieces. And there's a lot here. So I'll try to summarize some of these pieces through the lens of business owners. How can business owners be getting value from the effort? So that's a little bit of where we are at right now. Now let's talk about where we're going. Where we're going is, first and foremost, we have to figure out a way in which all this work, we're not just moving a Titanic. Think of it as moving a fleet of Titanics. We're trying to all go from point A to point B, and we need to figure out how we're going to get there, hopefully in a connected way, and not leave some of our partners behind. Finding what do our partners do well, where do they struggle, and help create a mechanism where all of us can be collectively more powerful and supportive. So we'll talk about so the methodology we're applying is, we're using from the private sector agile methodology, concepts and frameworks, which is really about, it's not about trying to eat the elephant in one bite. It's about taking big, complicated issues, breaking them down into mini pieces that are tackleable, having goals that can help us deliver something to our clients, our citizens, our business owners in every quarter, every 3 months, creating some value, learning from what works, what doesn't work, so that we can further continually improve. And there's more there. So that's really important part of it. The other important part of it is, economic development isn't a one and done effort. No one person will lead the effort, and no one person has even the mental horsepower to keep all of this together. And because it's such a lengthy effort, we want to create annual planning cycles. So we're really borrowing best practices from private sector. In the private sector corporations, they have quarterly earnings where they talk about what worked, what didn't, did we hit our goals or not, and how are we going to evolve next quarter. Every year, the good organizations have annual strategic planning sessions where they reflect on the year's activities, and then they build a new plan. We don't stick our heads in the sand and pretend we're just going to, if we just work harder, we'll get there. It's about being very strategic, very thoughtful, very deliberate in what we work on and what we don't. And the Strengthening Stark Week, let me talk about that in just a moment. So how do we do that? Each of our 37 initiatives get something called kill switches. What that means is, we're holding every one of our programs accountable to delivering something very specific every quarter. And when a program delivers in spades, great, green card, keep going. When a program fails to meet its objective, they get a yellow card. This is a warning which says we need to figure out how to do things differently. It's not about shaming folks. It's about us, the program leaders, other partners joining in to figure out how we can be helpful to our leadership. We redevelop our plan we go to the next quarter. At the end of the second quarter, in essence, in 6 months, if we still can get our program on track, we give that program a red card. All that means is this program will no longer be part of the Strengthening Stark initiative. It sits outside. It can keep going. We cannot afford to have a lot of programs that are under-delivering under the Strengthening Stark umbrella. Our credibility is at risk. We've seen too many economic development plans that launch a whole bunch of stuff, and then 6 months, 12 months later, those programs are in life support, under-delivering value. Value creation is something that's at the core of Strengthening Stark effort. We have to make sure that every single day, every single week, every single quarter, we have meaningful outcomes we're delivering. And you, the business owners, hold us accountable to making sure we're holding true to that objective. I mentioned something about an annual planning process, and what we're really thinking is to create a marquee event once a year. We're thinking late fall or mid-fall, in late October, having a Strengthening Stark week where we bring our partners, our community leaders, you, the business owners, to a conversation where we share with you, here's what's going on. We have these conversations in Minerva, in Alliance, in Louisville, making sure all of our partners see what's going on, and sharing with them how they can participate, sharing with them what worked, sharing with them what didn't work. And that week serves as a way to reset what we're going to do for 2020. So this is a very early stage concept right now. What it allows us to do is set very distinct goals that we want to hit in the next 12 months. Each of our program leaders is going to be coming up and presenting what they've done. So creating visibility, celebrating our successes, and really having that crescendo event that helps us close one calendar cycle and helps us start and launch the second calendar cycle. So that is a core part of how we make sure we run all our programs in cadence and cohesion. So with that, let me talk a little bit now into, let me just pause there for a second. I'm going to unmute all of you. If I can figure out how to do this. Here we go. All of you are unmuted, except the folks at Phoenix Enterprises. For some reason, I can't unmute you. Any questions so far?
I do have a question. At this stage, how many organization and business leaders are involved in this process to get it to where it's at right now?
It's a great question. So let me answer the question by defining involved.
Okay.
One way of involvement is a conversation that we've had business leaders. So I would say over 100 business leaders easily have been engaged in the process. That's because we went and spoke to the boards of many organizations in town. We spoke to the Rotary clubs. We spoke to many business leaders one-on-one. So we've been doing, and I'm being very, frankly, I think I'm being conservative, 100. I know the number's higher than that. So to me, that's one type of involvement. The second type of involvement is with some of our committees, we actually have business leader representation that are helping us identify how we move some of our programs forward. For example, on the business attraction side, we've pulled together a team of, we've launched actually two of our clusters have been launched, the petrochemicals and the food processing. For that, we pulled together about 10 or so business leaders to help us strategize how we're going to build our food production, food manufacturing cluster further. So that's a more detailed and it requires much more roll up your sleeves and effort. So there is significant involvement from the private sector. And I would also, one more piece I think that's probably helpful is we were also trying to reach not just the businesses, but also the organizations that represent the businesses. So in this case, this program is really through the Chamber Consortium. And you know what, let me just pause there. I should have said this when the meeting started. My apologies for forgetting about this. This program is being built and promoted by all the chambers across Stark County. So we put together a Chamber Consortium. Let me just list who those chambers are because it's so important. We've got the Minerva Chamber, the Alliance Chamber, Lake Township Chamber, Louisville Chamber, Massillon, West Stark Chamber, North Canton Chamber. We've also invited Minority Business Association, the Latino Business League. So all of the leaders of those organizations are part of this conversation. The Canton Regional Chamber is part of all of these conversations. And what we're trying to do is make sure that if we can't get to some of our business leaders directly, that we're connecting with them through these intermediaries as well. Does that help, Teresa?
Yes, it does.
Great. Any other questions? 3, 2, 1. All right, muted. Muted. Okay. All right, so let's talk about, as we looked at all these areas, what does it mean to our businesses and how our businesses can engage? Let's go one by one, each of the areas. On the governance side, Teresa, very much to your point, we need your engagement. For you to participate in the session is great. We're recording this session, so please share this with your colleagues, other business owners. While this is focused on Stark County, obviously, if you know of colleagues even outside strictly Stark County, but where our people work, we want them to know about what we're working on, and our resources, many of them are available to them as well. Let me say it very explicitly. We want you to hold us accountable. This is about accountability. This is about value. We want you to hold us accountable. We'll tell you what we're working on. We'll tell you what we're trying to accomplish. And we'll tell you when we're failing. So help us stay accountable, and where possible, help us succeed. There's, for example, one very simple thing that we mentioned earlier. We don't know. We have some sense for what the business owner needs are. But if there's anything specific where we can be of help to you, I'll share with you the link. So please do let us know how we can be of help to you. So first and foremost, that's that on the governance side, that piece will be huge. I should also share with you that we're actually building a handful of collaboration tools, online tools, where we're going to be sharing with you all the discussions that are going on, what all the activities are. Obviously, there's going to be a lot in there, but you'll be welcome to looking at those documents and materials as well. Workforce. I'm only going to skim the surface of this today because next month, we're going to have a wonderful speaker join us who's going to spend time only on this. How can our local Stark County businesses benefit from the workforce-related opportunities? Here's just a handful of pieces that we can help you with. Wage benchmarking. We're seeing a challenge with wage benchmarking. What we're paying, what the region is paying, what's happening in one industry versus other. It's very important for you as business owners to know where you stand with your compensation compared to others. We're not dictating what you do with that information. We simply want you to have the information so you can make decisions that are best for your business. That's something we can help you with. If you email us, we can connect you with resources that can get you that information. Job posting support. If you're looking for employees, there are organizations right now in Stark County who have dedicated capacity to talk to you. You can work with them. You can send them your resumes, sorry, not resumes, your job listings, and they can help you find talent. Access to talent. There's repositories out there that have names of people that are looking for jobs. So again, those are some of the pieces we can help you. Workforce training. There's actually dollars set aside. If you're bringing on a person who doesn't quite fit the job profile, there's a discrepancy between their skills and what you need. There's actually training dollars that can offset onboarding costs, training costs. You have to make some commitment on how long you will keep those employees, and there's some nuances there. But that's something we should be taking advantage of. Workforce assessment. If you look at if you're seeing a lot of turnover, if you're seeing that there's some issues with where you're situated and some issues with your employees, and you need to figure out what's going on, where the gaps may be, HR needs a little bit extra help. There are actually programs that can help you on that. Leadership development. One massive issue we're seeing across the county is aging business leaders. Unless we think about it deliberately, unless we make sure we have succession strategies, our businesses aren't going to be able to survive change of leadership. We're launching a variety of leadership programs. Not that we will be able to solve your problems, but hopefully we can take a small bite out of the problem. There's job expos taking place where you can come and visit. You can meet the amazing, talented people that live, that study, that work in our community. Come meet them. And internships. Can't highlight enough about this one big opportunity, making sure that if we want to keep our talent here, if we're seeing a shrinking workforce, shrinking population, one great way to keep people here is by exposing our young people to our businesses, helping them see how they can build a career, a life right here in Stark County. The unfortunate reality is our young people do not know what opportunities exist here in our community. And it is our job to have them come visit your businesses, see what amazing work you're doing, what amazing leadership opportunities, learning opportunities exist within your businesses. So a whole big conversation taking place here. Send us an email. Let us know that you're interested in this, and we will be very happy to connect you. We'll be sharing with you a workforce menu, a very simple, you want to get involved. There's something you want to do, you just don't know how to be helpful. Here we go. We put together a very simple menu. Option 1 is if you can spare 5 hours a year, 5 hours a year, here's what you can do. Come in, speak to our colleges, speak to our K through 12 schools around what your business does, your industry, what's interesting, what's a challenge, how can young people be thinking about going into these businesses? And I should correct myself. I keep saying young people. It's not just about the youth. It's about, we have a lot of underemployed people in our community, and we want you in front of them as well. And then the other end of the spectrum, we talked about internships. So if you're willing to commit some time on a weekly basis, a little bit of funding, let me share with you one story. True story that happened just 2 months ago. You have amazing, brilliant, talented young people who we are not tapping into their potential. This young man graduated this year from Minerva High School. Congratulations, Minerva. And is off to Ohio State. Looking for summer internships. He's working in a fast food restaurant. Was looking for something more interesting to do. Top student. We connected him with a local real estate agent on the petrochemical industry. Because of what this young man did in 6 weeks, he identified one specific parcel. He did some research on it and found that there were certain assets that were near this parcel of property that no one had really thought about identifying and packaging with that property. Because of what he did, he added, I'm not making this number up, $1 million of real estate value to that parcel of property. He did this in a span of just a few weeks, and that's just one person. I'm sharing that with you because for some of our smaller businesses, it seems like, you know, the effort of onboarding interns is not worth the cost, the headache. I'm not saying that every intern is going to hit the ball out of the park, but there's a lot of great talent out there that we can better utilize. And I'll stop there. So anyways, we'll share with you this menu, and hopefully many of you can find ways to tap into it. Business retention and expansion. How can we help you directly? We're already doing one, business speaker series. We know you're busy. We know you can't always attend meetings, so we're coming to you. Let folks know. We're thinking about the pricing model. It's supposed to be free to make it easy, but sometimes if it's free, people don't value it. So who knows? We may charge you $2 just to attend this session. That's not the point. The point is we want to make our small businesses smarter. We want them to know what opportunities exist for them. So we've launched that. There's also, we've got a team of people in place who are ready to come and talk to you about what's going on in your business. They will sit down with you. They will learn about what you're doing. They will try to educate you, work with you on what programs are available. Send us an email. We will schedule a meeting in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Someone can come visit you and have some of those very powerful conversations. And there are And I can't emphasize this enough. They're incredible assets that we are underutilizing in Stark County. There are dollars that we could be putting into your businesses that we're not connecting the dots on. And obviously some of those programs have strings attached to it. A lot of this is government programming and organizational programming. So it's not always easy to get to, but part of it is we want to hear from you on what works, what doesn't work, so we can make our programming more impactful. We talked about Chamber Consortium. Something else that I also want to highlight is this Business 911. Later this year, we're going to be launching a platform, one single place where you can go to find resources, find dollars, find real estate. You're looking to expand, don't know where to go. Looking for retail properties, don't know what properties are available. We want to make it as easy as possible for our local businesses to do business in our community. We're launching this later this year. You'll hear more about it. So we're coming to you with all these different tools because we know there's no silver bullet that will solve our business challenges. Every business is unique. They're in different places. But we want to at least make sure that we're educating and informing you on what's there. On business attraction side, some of this may or may not apply to you, but please be thinking about this. The conversation here is really about one thing, which is supply chain management. By that I mean, every business has stuff that they buy. They have customers that they sell to. They have trucks that run. They have stuff that goes, maybe it's digital and we email stuff to people because we're consultants, or we have, I don't know, we make Mac Trailer makes trailers and we ship our trailers all over the country. There's a supply chain. There's this sort of series of things that need to happen for our core industries. This is not all the major industries, but we've just started here and the list will expand. We're focusing on hospitality and tourism, metals manufacturing, petrochemicals, food processing, and manufacturing. For each of these areas, we're sitting down with these business owners and saying, what is missing? As you think about that supply chain, what is the piece that's missing here and how can we help connect the dots? Here's the opportunity for you, the small, mid-sized business owners. If you see ways in which you should be connecting your services to them, let us know what that story looks like. When we're talking to them, when we're bringing these consortiums together, Teresa, I'm going to keep picking on you because we spoke before this meeting started, and I'm sure that there's others. I'd love your feedback as well. Teresa and her business, Patterson's, in the business of sort of specialty services around septic and services, porta potties and such. We want to make sure they're aware that you exist. They all do manufacturing. They all have stuff breaks down and they need help and support. We just want to make sure that these businesses are aware of your products and services. So that's what the conversation looks like. We welcome your thoughts and feedback. We're not smart enough to get into the details of these industries, but certainly if we can educate and inform each other, we can all move the needle. The biggest area for you is this. I may be a little bit harsher on this topic, and please pardon what I'm about to say, but frankly, this is the biggest area we have to think about for our small and mid-sized businesses, which is, what are you doing to innovate? What are you doing to evolve your business model? Some of you are incredible at it. You're evolving your organizational structures, you're evolving your products, you're evolving how you do business, how you sell stuff. And many of us, unfortunately, are sort of family-owned businesses that haven't quite evolved at a pace that we should be. So it's all about finding better ways to deliver your business. We know our businesses need help. We're seeing an increased number of businesses closing because we don't have sufficient succession planning in place. We're seeing businesses sort of just wither out because they haven't been keeping up with changing economic dynamics. So not that we can solve your issues, but certainly there are programming that we can be working on together to start thinking about these opportunities. We're launching a business innovation contest. We're working with our educational partners, our colleges and universities. Each of our colleges is going to pick a handful of domains where they're going to, we were at Walsh University earlier this week. They want to do something on their business services side, marketing. Who's doing incredible marketing in our community? Who has interesting operational mechanisms? We're going to be bringing some of our most innovative businesses together. We're going to be celebrating their wins. It's also an opportunity to educate our businesses on what's going on right here. It's a way for us to connect our educational partners with our businesses. Victor Pavone's on this, Small Business Association, and he's, some of the services they have through some of the work they do. We can connect programming to you to help you think about these concepts. This is not a one and done deal, but certainly collectively we can drive some of these conversations. We're also working with all of our school districts to launch a almost like a business entrepreneurship contest. The reason I'm highlighting that is we want to do something called a reverse competition, a reverse pitch competition. What that means is this. Here's a very simple idea that hopefully you can connect up with. Think about the 1 or 2 biggest business challenges you face today. Maybe it's around a process. Maybe it's around the technology. Maybe you want how do you make your business more accessible using one of these, online mobile devices? You're looking for an app to put your business through. How can your customers connect through these capabilities? Perhaps you don't have those skills within your organizations. Tell us what those challenges are. We're going to make those challenges accessible to our community, our youth, our students, our technologists. You may or may not be aware there's a thriving group of entrepreneurs, thriving group of technologists that meets, and they talk about over 100 people that are part of that group. And they're talking about what they could be doing to connect their technology skills with local businesses. But something seems to be disconnected here. So tell us what your challenges are. We will connect our technologists with this, and maybe there's a way in which we can launch a whole new business in this arena. Infrastructure. If you have broadband needs, if you're looking to expand, transportation is a huge challenge for our employees. Our businesses, Stark County, one of the challenges we have is we are very geographically dispersed. It's not easy for our employees to get to our work. Many of our employers have talked about this. Unfortunately, that's sort of the challenge with when you have the sort of suburban urban sprawl. It is what it is. We've got to figure out answers to it. So we're working with SARTA. We've actually also reached out to Uber. We want to talk to Lyft. We want to talk to some of these distributed transportation services to see, can we take mass transit? Can we take Uber-like concepts, mash them together so that we can run a bus from Canton to Paris, Ohio, just to put 3 employees at Teresa's business. But certainly, if we can figure out a way to collectively connect a mass transit element with our distributed transportation element, we can make something happen there. Very, very complicated problem to solve for, but the conversations have started. Community engagement. Nothing happens unless our local leaders are engaged. And so one of the things we're launching later this month is a monthly showcase profile of interesting business leaders, interesting community leaders that are doing interesting, what we're calling it, I Am Strengthening Stark. So what you'll see is a profile of I Am Strengthening Stark. Our first leader, amazing gentleman who lives in, where does he live? I'm blanking out. Anyways, he launched a business around, it's a business in the car wash industry. His name's Ken Brott. Fascinating business, automated how car washes work through some digital technology, just blew up the business, recently had an exit. Fascinating guy, doing incredible things now in the local community. Lake Township, he's from Lake Township, I'm sorry, I was blanking out. And so we're profiling him to say, here's the type of people that we have right here. You don't have to move to Silicon Valley, Boston, New York to tap into amazing talent that's right here. If you're a young person wanting to launch a technology business, we have these people who have the experiences, who have the capital to invest. So a lot of interesting work going on that front. And long and short of it is, we're going to there's no easy way to communicate and engage. We're going to be doing social media campaigns. We're going to be putting articles in the newspapers. You'll see a series of events on PR activities we're doing. If you go to Canton Repository on their website, you will see a drop down that there's a website dedicated to strengthening Stark, so you can see all the articles that have been written. So we're trying, and we're going to keep evolving our strategies. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause again. I'm going to unmute. I've talked a lot. I'm hoping folks at the Phoenix Enterprise, I don't know who you are because I can't see you. Would love to hear some thoughts from you. Any reactions to what you've heard so far? Anything you'd like to add? I've unmuted all of you except the folks at Phoenix. For some reason, I'm not able to unmute you. Oh, they're very shy. All right. Diane, what are your thoughts? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, I think it's an exciting opportunity for the greater Stark County area. And it's very detailed. We have a reference point. And I believe that will make all of the difference in having that detailed reference point. I also believe the opportunity to come back together to assess and reassess the way in which we're moving forward will also be critical, because we will learn as we move forward.
Wonderful. Thank you for that feedback. Doug, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Doug Lane, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing the phone thing. But yeah, it was a nice recap. A lot of this stuff we already knew from those of us who have been involved in it, but I think you presented it very well.
Great, thank you. Victor, Teresa, any other thoughts?
Rushu, go ahead.
The one thing that I'm also interested in learning about is more education on health benefits more locally for the small business. I mean, that's something that we really need some education on. And
that'll be a good one for 911. That'll be a very good one for 911, Teresa, because I know our chamber, the Canton Chamber, a number of other organizations all offer health insurance programs at reduced rates. And I think Minerva could help you with that too.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Great point, Teresa. Victor, go ahead.
Well, in hitchhiking on that last statement, there are numerous education programs that exist across the board, from corporate education, for example, at Kent State, the training programs that we present, the SBDC, the SCORE programs, and as you well know, Lucio, it's just a matter of how we coordinate them, how we communicate all of that, and ideally not create any more duplication than is already there. But there's Teresa, there's education out there. We've all neglected the manner of how it's presented to the small businesses. We could do a better job on regarding that, and ideally this program will do that.
I appreciate that. That will be quite helpful.
Excellent. Good. Well, thank you for the feedback. I'll just keep you unmuted now. We're almost through the conversation. So let's talk about, if we can have a mini conversation. The question is, will our work be helpful to your businesses? As you can see, we've been as comprehensive as possible. I think it's very important to note that we, and there's a large team of advisors, leaders. Janelle Lee is my partner in crime. She and I are two individuals that have been tasked with making sure that the Strengthening Stark effort collectively moves forward. we're the sort of the conveners, making sure the mortar that makes sure that the whole thing stays together. But the work, we come at this work with a fair amount of humility, because it's such a massive challenge that we just want to make sure that you are giving us feedback on what's working, what's not working, and only through that discussion can we truly be successful in this endeavor. So I'd love your feedback on a couple of thoughts. What changes would you like to see in the community? What are some personal areas of interest to you? And obviously we can have a lengthy conversation about whether it's roads or people or, access to people. Think about, in the context of everything that we've talked about, did we not talk about something? Teresa, I love your point that you raise on the healthcare. Obviously, that's a huge issue for small, mid-sized business owners. What are the other critical business needs like this? As you think about your own business, in the next 2 to 5 years, where do you see yourself? And it's sort of a loaded question we're asking there, because we know that, average age of business owners in America is about 56, 57. Many of our business owners are close to retirement. We see a lot of folks leaving the business, oftentimes, unfortunately, in a non-volunteer manner, meaning things have come up, life has happened, and they have to make an urgent exit. To us, that always creates a tremendous risk for that business sustainability. Leadership transition, financial transition, and oftentimes that becomes a rocky point for business sustainability, people keeping their jobs, etc. Is your business one of those businesses that you're in that boat, or are you in a growth mode? Everything is good. Given all the things that are going on, perhaps there's ways in which we can make you better connected with some of the other partners. And then the last question is, any topics, speakers that you would like to see covered in our discussions in the future? So on any of those questions, welcome any other thoughts, feedback that you may have.
Well, I'm going to add, I'm spending a lot of time researching the area, and basically my biggest hurt right now is getting what we do, our services, and what we're about to those businesses that need us. They have a hurt, we have a fix type of mentality here, and I'm looking for a way to shorten that down, shorten my time investment, where I literally have been looking at the various chambers in Stark County, and to be able to get to all of these and network and meet people that I really want to meet, business owners that could use our services or that need our services. There's a lot of time involved in that. And I'm willing to spend the time, but I would like to spend it smartly.
Yes, right. That's a great point. Yes. Obviously, sales and marketing, I mean, we can almost default that and say every business can use a little bit of help on sales and marketing, whether it's actual sales, whether it's digital marketing. That's something I know a lot of small business owners struggle with, just because the technology has evolved so quickly that it's hard to keep up with it. And if you're not of a certain experience, it'll be very difficult to just do it as a natural course of action. So it's a great point, Teresa.
Yeah, it's meeting the people that I need to meet.
Yes.
Having those conversations with the people at the various construction companies and event venues and things like that.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Other thoughts? Other folks? Any reactions to the questions that are listed here?
Rusha, regarding the 2 to 5 years thing and what you raised, that there are a significant number of businesses in Stark County that have expended, if you will, the management or the ownership or the near term losing the business for whatever reasons. We don't talk enough about what is commonly referred to as succession planning. And that's an element that you might want to consider. And I don't mean estate planning. I mean true succession planning. There is a difference.
Yes, great point. Love it. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you for that feedback. We're pretty close to wrapping it up. If I can ask each of you to just spend, like I said, 4 minutes. If you can type this address down, bit.ly/Stark speaker. It's a 4-question survey that just helps us understand, is this activity helpful? Is the format helpful? We wanted to launch this initiative because we'd heard enough need expressed by various businesses, but we don't know what the best format is. We don't know what the best content is. And so any of your thoughts, feedback are welcome. And the other point I'd like to highlight is next month on October 12th, we are going to be having an incredible speaker. So Jennifer Meek-Eels, she's the executive director of the Stark Tuscarawas Workforce Development Board. Ohio Means Jobs. Incredible, incredible asset. I have had a chance to work with many people in that position across the state. And I will tell you, you have a rock star in Jennifer, and she and her organization will bend over backwards to be as helpful to you as possible. So you need to know about her. You need to make sure that you're connected with her. And Ohio Means Jobs, it is not your typical government agency. They're very, very helpful. So her topic will be 7 simple ways that your local workforce partners can alleviate your employee challenges. It should be a very helpful conversation. There will be, very specific tactics that will be shared. So that's what we'll be talking about next time. As I had mentioned to you, our conversation today is recorded, and all these recordings will be shared with you as well. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully you can join us again next month. Please let your colleagues know. And again, have a wonderful rest of the day. Have a wonderful weekend. And we will talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.